Thank you. May we recognize Senator Marcos, Mr. President?
Senator Marcos is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I have the honor to report to the Senate House Bill number 5236, which seeks to reapportion the province of Bukidnon into 4 legislative districts. Based on the data culled from its official website, the province of Bukidnon is the largest province in Region 10, and it is the home of 7 different indigenous tribes, namely Talandig, Igaunon, Bukidnon, Umayamnon, Matingsalug, Manobo, and Tigwahanon. This highly indigenous province is richly blessed with natural resources surrounded by numerous mountain ranges and natural parks, watersheds, rivers, and lakes. Through the years, Bukidnon has steadily grown in size in terms of its population. Based on the 2010 Census of Population and Housing issued by the NSO and declared official by the President, Bukidnon has a total population of 1,299,192. At present, there are 3 existing congressional districts of Bukidnon. House Bill 5236 proposes to reapportion the province into 4 districts as follows. First district include Baungon, Libona, Malitbog, Manolo Fortich, Sumilao, and Talaca. That will give it a total population of 278,958. The second district will consist of Malaybalay City, Impasugong, Cabanglasan, Lantapan, and San Fernando, which will give it a total population of 335,240. The third district will be Kadingilan, Damulog, Dangkagan, Don Carlos, Maramag, Ibawe, Kitatao, and Quezon. The total population would then be 414,816. And the fourth district would be consisting of Valencia City, Kailangan, and Pangantucan, which gives it a total population of 270,178. The 1987 Constitution, particularly under Article 6, Section 5, subparagraph 1, mandates that the House of Representatives shall be composed of not more than 250 members. Furthermore, Article 6, Section 5, subparagraphs 3 and 4 of the 87 Constitution provide that each legislative district shall comprise, as far as practicable, contiguous, compact, and adjacent territory. Each city with a population of at least 250,000 or each province shall have at least 1 representative. Within 3 years following the return of every census, the Congress shall make a reapportionment of the legislative districts based on the standards provided in this section. Mr. President, the rule on apportionment is based on the principle of equality of representation. Larger representative districts should therefore be entitled to more representatives in Congress. The people of the province of Bukidnon certainly deserve additional seats in the House of Representatives after having complied with the above-quoted constitutional mandate. It is for this reason, Mr. President, that I earnestly request my colleagues in this august chamber to join me in approving House Bill number 5236 under Committee Report number 379. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Majority Leader has not received any other reservations for interpellation, so I move that we close the period of interpellation, Mr. President.
Any objections? There being none.
May we know from the sponsor if there are any committee amendments? Move that we open the period of committee amendments.
There are no committee amendments to be proposed by the committee, Mr. President.
Move that we close the period of committee amendments, Mr. President.
Any objections? There being none. Motion is approved.
Move that we open the period of individual amendments, Mr. President.
Any objections? There being none. Motion is approved.
There are no individual amendments, Mr. President. I move to close the period of individual amendments.
Any objections? There being none. Motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill 5236 under Committee Report 379.
Any objections? There being none. Motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
With the permission of the Chamber, I move to transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special order Senate Bill 2929 under Committee Report 354.
Any objections? There being none. Motion is approved.
Move to consider Senate Bill 2929 under Committee Report 354.
Any objections? There being none, motions approved.
May we ask Secretary to read the title of the measure, Mr. President?
An act amending Section 61 of RA 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code of 1991.
To sponsor the measure, may we ask the Chairman of the Committee on Local Government, Senator Ferdinand Marcos, be recognized, Mr. President.
Senator Marcos is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I have the honor to report Senate Bill number 2929, which seeks to amend the provision of Section 61 of Republic Act 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code of 1991, by transferring the disciplinary jurisdiction over complaints against erring elected officials of a component city from the Office of the President to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. Article 10, Section 4 of the 1987 Constitution provides that the President of the Philippines shall exercise general supervision over local governments, provinces with respect to component cities and municipalities, and cities and municipalities with respect to component barangays shall ensure that the acts of their component units are within the scope of their prescribed powers and functions. Thus, under the concept of devolution, a component city is within the administrative and disciplinary jurisdiction of a province where it is geographically located. In fact, the registered voters of a component city participate in the election of provincial officials. Further, the power of the provinces to ensure that the acts of the component units are within the scope of their prescribed powers and functions, as mandated by the Constitution, includes the right to discipline any erring elective officials of the component units. However, Section 61 of RA 7160 provides, amongst others, that a complaint against any elective official of a component city shall be filed before the Office of the President. According to Senator Aquilino Pimentel Jr. in his book entitled The Local Government Code Revisited, 2007, the inclusion of elective officials, and I quote, the inclusion of elective officials of a component city as among those who are subject to investigation by the Office of the President was the result of a compromise. Component city mayors, led by Mayor Honorato Perez of Cabanatuan City, had lobbied to take them away from the disciplinary jurisdiction of the governors on the principal argument that the qualifications demanded of them by their office are the same as those required by the governor. Close quote. On the other hand, Section 63B of Republic Act 7160 retains the power of the governors to preventively suspend elective officials of a component city, quote, after the issues are joined, when the evidence of guilt is strong, and given the gravity of the offense, there is a great probability that the continuance in office of the President, of the respondent rather, could influence the witnesses or pose a threat to the safety and integrity of the records and other evidence, close quote. The governor, therefore, has a preliminary duty to determine the strength of the evidence before he or she can issue a preventive suspension. In the process, the governor relies to a great extent on the recommendation of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan based on its initial findings on whether the preventive suspension is necessary. Thus, it is desirable that the complaint should be filed before the Sangguniang Panlalawigan and not before the Office of the President. It may be worthy to emphasize that under Section 60 of the same code, the decision of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan remains to be appealable to the Office of the President, and that an elective local official may only be removed by order of the proper court. During the hearing of the committee on the said measure, former Senator Pimentel, who pioneered the enactment of the Local Government Code of 1991, as well as the League of Cities of the Philippines, represented by Mr. Jeremy Nishimori, its executive director, have made representations and called for the early passage of this bill, as they also consider the proposed amendment to be more in accord with the Constitution and with the concept of devolution under the Local Government Code. Finally, the objective of devolution will be best served if the province has full disciplinary jurisdiction over the officials of a component city. It strengthens the interoperability of the concerned local government unit. It is for this reason, Mr. President, that I earnestly request my colleagues in this august chamber to join me in approving Senate Bill 2929 under Committee Report 354. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, with the permission of the Chamber, I move to transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special order House Bill 4820 under Committee Report 378.
Any objections? Hearing none, motions approved.
I move to consider House Bill 4820 under Committee Report 378.
Any objections? Hearing none, motion's approved.
May we ask Secretary to read the title of the motion?
An act to creating the province of Nueva Camarines.
Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, may we ask the Chairman of the Committee on Local Government, Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. be recognized.
Senator Marcos is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, kung meron tayong walang kamatayan na RH Bill, ito naman ang mahiwagang Nueva Camarines Bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as Chairman of the Committee on Local Government, I rise today to report to this august chamber the findings of the Committee on House Bill 4820, or the proposed act creating the province of Nueva Camarines from the present province of Camarines Sur. The province of Camarines Sur is geographically located at the center of the Bicol Peninsula. It is the largest among the 6 provinces of Region 5. The main economic activity in Camarines Sur is agriculture, which covers crop production, fishing, livestock raising, and forestry. Industry, on the other hand, is composed of manufacturing and processing of jewelry crafts, gifts, toys, housewares, as well as the pineapple and coconut industry. Under this bill, the 4th and 5th districts of Camarines Sur are to be taken out to form the new province of Nueva Camarines. These are the municipalities of Baao, Balatan, Bato, Buhi, Bula, and Nabua, and the city of Iriga from the 5th district, and the municipalities of Caramuan, Garchitorena, Goa, Lagonoy, Presentacion, Sagnay, San Jose, Siruma, Tigaon, and Tinambat from the 4th district. Your Committee on Local Government has extensively deliberated upon the measure and heard the arguments for and against the creation of this new province. The proponents of the measure argued that the province of Camarines Sur has become so enormous to manage and therefore should be divided to improve its pace of development. This representation strongly believes that the large number of population of a local government unit, as well as its vast land area, is much more of an asset than of a liability. It is an unwritten rule in our political setting that larger provinces command a considerable attention from politicians. This translates into a better prospect for funding assistance for its projects. On the part of the business sector, its vast land area will offer a wider range of business opportunities and the concomitant economies of scale where expansion could be assured of coherent policies, certainly at the provincial level. This attracts investment. Thus, it is only when there is a clear showing that its size never works to the advantage of the benefit of constituents that the issue of dividing it to form smaller local government units proves to be imperative, and that the Senate is duty-bound to take this into account in its committee deliberations. The role of the province is to serve as a mechanism of developmental processes and effective governance. Its goal is to accelerate economic development and to promote the welfare of the people. At a time when the indicators of economic and other aspects of development in the province of Camarines Sur have demonstrated to be on the right track and that they should be sustained, the proposition that the province should be divided spells a disruption of the observed progress and compromise the momentum for development. Is there a compelling reason to risk the said momentum? The 2009 official poverty statistics issued by the National Statistics Coordination Board reveals that the subsidence incidence amongst families in Camarines Sur improved from 16.8% in 2006 to 13.8% in 2009. Out of 100 families in Camarines Sur, 17 families were classified as food poor in 2006. This was reduced to 14 out of 100 families in 2009. According to the data culled from the NSO, from the National Statistics Coordination Board, Region 5, I quote, Camarines Sur has garnered the highest visitor arrivals among provinces of the Bicol region in 2008, cornering 55.2% of the total tourist arrivals in the region. The province had a total of 721,024 tourists who visited the province in 2008, an increase of 57.8% over its 2000 level. And of this number, 72.6% were domestic tourists, while the rest were foreigners. The increase in foreign tourists, though, has surged to 332.7% in 2008, the highest increase in tourist arrivals among provinces in the region. Camarines Sur is now the top tourist destination in the region based on the reported influx of tourists by the Department of Tourism. In 2009, the province was a recipient of a presidential citation for best practice in creating a business and investment enabling environment. The province is also the first local government unit in the country to run and manage a PEZA-approved information technology park and tourism economic zone. Only 15% of the existing business establishments, such as business processing outsourcing, shopping malls, hotels, formal residential subdivision developers, restaurants, cafes, and fast food centers, automotive dealerships, will be in the proposed Nueva Camarines province, while the rest of the 85% of these establishments will remain with the mother province as reduced. This is based on the data from the Department of Trade and Industry. Number two, most of the existing hospitals with a higher number of authorized bed capacity are in the reduced province of Camarines Sur, based on the data culled from the Department of Health, Bureau of Health Facilities and Services, implying that a smaller number of the hospitals will be in the proposed new province. Based on the data of the Enhanced Basic Education Information System of the Department of Education, of the total number of public elementary schools, 52% are in the reduced province of Camarines Sur, while 48% will be in the proposed Nueva Camarines. On the other hand, 54% of the public secondary schools are in the reduced Camarines Sur, while the remaining 46% will be in Nueva Camarines. According to the National Household according to the National Household Targeting System of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, as of November 2011, the percentage of households based on available data from most of the municipalities in the province, which are without access to water and sanitary toilets, are 23.13% and 36.05% respectively in the reduced Camarines Sur, while 33.68% and 43.58% respectively are in the proposed Nueva Camarines. The above data, among others, paints a picture to me that perhaps it is not the right time to pursue a measure for the division of the province of Camarines Sur. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this committee has been requested by the proponents of the ability to report out favorably the present bill on the ground, among others, that the bill has complied with the legal requirements for the creation of the province. In fact, the proponents had advanced the view that since the legal requirements had been complied with, it is ministerial on the part of the Senate to approve the said bill and to submit the issue to a plebiscite. On this issue, the committee is reminded of the teachings of the Honorable Supreme Court in the landmark case of Arturo Tolentino versus the Secretary of Finance and the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, number 115525, October 30, 1995. And I quote, "In sum, while Article 6, Section 24 provides that all appropriation, revenue, or tariff bills, bills authorizing increase of the public debt, bills of local application, and private bills must originate exclusive in the House of Representatives, it also adds, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments. In the exercise of this power, the Senate may propose an entirely new bill as a substitute measure. As petitioner Tolentino states in a high school text, a committee to which a bill is referred may do any of the following. Number one, to endorse the bill without changes. Number two, to make changes in the bill omitting or adding sections or altering its language. Number three, to make and endorse an entirely new bill as a substitute, in which case it will be known as a committee bill. Or number four, to make no report at all." End of quote. With the adverse findings of the committee as explained above, that the creation of the new province of Nueva Camarines will not work for the advantage and the benefit of the people of Camarines Sur, the committee could have opted to take the last option, to make no report at all. However, during the public hearing of this committee in Naga City, Camarines Sur, we have observed that the issue is causing much divisiveness among the people and the leadership of Camarines Sur. We also take note that the local officials of Camarines Sur are likewise divided on the issue. Thus, to give a chance to the people of Camarines Sur to decide the destiny of their province through a plebiscite, this committee decided to report out the bill for the consideration of this august chamber, but with this modification. That only the municipalities of the 4th District of the province of Camarines Sur will comprise the new province of Nueva Camarines. The said localities are the least developed areas in Camarines Sur. The present bill with modifications complies with the criteria set forth in the Constitution, as well as in the Local Government Code of 1991. Article 10, Section 10 of the 1987 Constitution provides, quote, "No province, city, municipality, or barangay may be created, divided, merged, abolished, or its boundaries substantially altered, except in accordance with the criteria established in the Local Government Code and subject to approval by a majority of the votes cast in a plebiscite in the political units directly affected." The mandate of the Local Government Code under Section 461, Paragraph A is as follows. Section 461, requisites for creation. A province may be created if it has an average annual income as certified by the Department of Finance of not less than 20 million pesos based on 1991 constant prices and complying either of the following requisites. A contiguous territory of at least 2,000 square kilometers as certified by the LNB, or a population of not less than 250,000 inhabitants as certified by the National Statistics Office, provided that the creation thereof shall not reduce the land area, population, and income of the original unit or units at the time of said creation to less than the minimum requirements prescribed herein. The proposed bill, with modification, has met all the criteria for the creation of the new province of Nueva Camarines. Based on the 2010 census, the proposed province of Nueva Camarines has a population count of 398,422 as certified by the National Statistics Office. Thus, it meets the population requirement under Section 461 of the Local Government Code of at least 250,000 inhabitants. It will not reduce the population of Camarines Sur so as to make it below the minimum population requirement, since it will still have a population level of 1,423,949 as certified by the NSO. The Land Management Bureau has issued a certification that the herein proposed province meets the minimum requirement area of 2,000 square kilometers and that the original province will not be reduced to less than the minimum land area prescribed in the Local Government Code as amended. The average annual regular income of the proposed province of Nueva Camarines, as certified to by the Bureau of Local Government and Finance for calendar years 2009 and 2010, based on 1991 constant prices, is 147,071,588 pesos and 84 centavos, which is above the minimum requirement income of 20 million pesos under Section 461 of the Local Government Code. It has been further certified by the same Bureau that the creation of the province of Nueva Camarines will not reduce the income of the original province to less than the minimum annual income requirement of 20 million. In fact, the classification of the original province of Camarines Sur will remain as first class. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, your Committee on Local Government is presenting to you committee report for the consideration of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.